Blanche and I saw a play in New York last week, a musical called Come From Away. It's essentially about the 9/11 crisis and 400 airplanes diverted from landing in New York, having to go to Newfoundland, to an airport there that could barely handle 400 airplanes, big jets, and a town of 7,000 people that suddenly had almost 7,000 visitors. They were literally watching the news that morning, taking their kids to school, opening up the shops, and seeing everything anybody here was seeing, the towers being hit by planes and coming down. They didn't know that they were going to be inundated by more guests than they could possibly have room for. And what you saw in the play, something that was extraordinarily moving, was how everybody became completely selfless, opened their hearts and their homes, every possible space that they could find, to take the passengers and the crew members with all of their struggles and their difficulties, because they didn't know, many of them, what had even happened. They just knew they were being diverted, and bring them into a place where they had to be housed, as it turned out, for 4 days. It's a lovely play, but mostly what inspired me in it was the kindness of people, the compassion, the goodness, the rising to the occasion, the ability to serve people in need, people who stayed up 2-3 days solid to make food, sandwiches, anything they could make for people. Every possible way of service that they could provide was provided. Everything they could do, and the people who were receiving it were in such need and despair, and ultimately they were served by the hand on the back, the kindness of strangers, the goodness that somehow underlies so much of the human experience. And it really brought me to tears, and much of the audience. It was so celebratory. We don't hardly ever get to witness that kind of magnanimity, that kind of generosity and kindness in our daily life, because we're so subsumed by the drama of our existence. We forget the larger human context that we are all living in, this fact that we're all needy and we all need each other, and that nobody is free of that. We are here societally, culturally, person to person, basically to either support one another on this journey that we're on, or to serve our own selfish ends. It was really kind of wonderful, because there was a group of people on strike when the planes landed, and the mayor of the city had been in difficult negotiations with them and had to really persuade them to give up their positions for the greater good of what was going on, and they did. They put aside all their differences, and they all came together to serve. And then the minute everybody left town, the strike was back, the town was back at their old problems, everyone was dealing with their other issues, but they had all been touched, you could tell. They had all been touched by doing the right thing. one of the women in the show lost a child who was a fireman in New York in the World Trade Center, and she was on the phone constantly trying to get information and couldn't get it. And you could feel, as an audience member, you knew why she couldn't get it. And what she was dealing with was not yet reality, but the dawning of reality. The dawning of the possibility that something fundamental had changed in her life, very personally. In the same way that all of us on 9/11 were feeling that something fundamental had shifted or changed, and that it was going to take us a while to accommodate it. That reality was no longer the reality of 9/10. The reality of 9/11 was different. And you can call it, if you will, a hard reality. There's gentle reality. The gentle reality of the town servicing the needs of all these people was a kind of reality that all of us hunger for. A reality that sustains us day by day, that makes us want to get up in the morning and possibly, to go to work and to earn a living and to come home and lie down and take off his shoes and watch a TV show and, hug somebody and go to bed. That reality, the one we all either have or wish we had, that reality is sort of a given day by day. And when you watch a play like this that celebrates that reality in upheaval, and how people rise to meet the harder reality of 400 planes suddenly landing in your airport, it makes huge demands. And you can either fight that inside, or you can actually do the thing that's called upon and discover the higher possibility of your human experience. What you are as a human being, what you can rise to in a certain event. Even that, for all of its transformative demand, was a sort of soft reality. The hard reality of life was what people faced in that World Trade Center, who were on the upper floors, and what people faced in London the other day, in this high-rise building that went burned to the ground. Well, not to the ground, but burned up entirely. People in that building were experiencing hard reality. That hard reality means that there's no future, and the past is meaningless, and you have only an intense, beyond belief, intense now. You either throw your children out the window and hope someone catches them, or you huddle together as the flames come. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be depressing, but I'm trying to express that at some point, hard reality hits us. Hard reality is the ultimate transformative truth of being. How you greet hard reality, in a way, is based on who you are, your upbringing, your ability during the course of a life to be a real person. To be a real person in life certainly requires obeying certain social niceties and living a certain kind of prescribed life. But a real person also involves a kind of deep, compassionate honesty about who you are, and the life you're living and the people you are living it with. Many of us never arrive at that honesty. We live a delusional life filled with stories and ideas of who we are and what's going on and what life is about and what comes after life and what our ambitions are. We live a life full of kind of internal storytelling. And then you're standing on the 40th floor of this building and the fires are raging. Trust me, your stories go out the window. All the dreams, illusions, delusions of life go out the window. You are staring at it. At it. That it that you are staring at, you are actually staring at right now and not seeing. You are staring at it and seeing everything but. You're seeing the story that you believe, you're seeing the ideas that you care about, you're seeing your frustrations, your angers, your hostilities, you're seeing your ambitions, your loves, you're seeing all of these things going on which are all part of this extraordinary thing. But you need to go and see it. It. This. All of this stuff around you begins to reveal its essential truth when you let go of it for a short while. When you let go of dramatizing and theorizing and emotionalizing everything around you, you just let go of it for a short time and sit still. Sit still. Don't give in to your thoughts, don't give in to your emotions, don't give in to your dramas, don't give in to your ambitions. Just sit still. And what starts to happen is it peeks through. You discover there is something in human being called being. And you discover the being that's at the source of all of the manifested form. You discover it. If you can sit and open and go into your own truth of being, you will find yourself looking differently at everything outside you. It will not be seen quite through the same lens. It won't be seen through the same history. It will be seen more as it is than as you interpret it to be. It's just there. It is. It's very powerful and hard. It's reality. The reality without your story. The reality without your impressions of reality. It's just reality itself. Interestingly, reality incorporates your impressions and your story and your dramas. It incorporates all of that. But when you get this very deep inner space through which to view it, you see it for what it is. Story, drama, mythology, illusion, delusion. You go, aha. And then you, through that aha, have this opportunity to free yourself of being caught by these delusional ideas. You start to see it as it really is. And as it really is, offers you something that is often so exquisitely beautiful that it brings you to tears. You start to see small kindnesses, or in the case of the people in this play, large expressions of kindness, societal kindness, you start to see people walking down the street and one of them takes somebody else's hand and there's a relaxation in the shoulders, and you say, you have just seen something so tiny that is so big. So at the core of the human experience, touching, loving, connectivity. You see how buoyed we are in the spirit by the connection with the physical. How much we care about one another and how much we don't care about one another. And you start to see what is really going on in life. And you do it not from a judgmental place, but from a place of great clarity, which produces something that people call wisdom. Wisdom. It's earned. It's earned by facing the what is within and seeing without through a new lens. A lens that incorporates everything, that allows everything to be what it is, that excuses and forgives and loves and understands and gets it. Much of what you see will be delusional and ignorant. People behaving without awareness, without clarity, without kindness, without compassion, without love. People doing greedy things, people serving their own immediate sort of hungers, and you'll see all that. And rather than condemn it and decide to be angry inside, you will go, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And you will come to this place inside yourself of such simple truth of the nature of being, that when you see truly horrific, big, terrible undercurrents of things, when you start to see things not working the way you would dream that they would or could, you start to see evil and darkness and complications in human lives. You see it, but you see it as, You get it. You get it, because there's so much ignorance floating around, so many people on such a difficult journey that they don't understand. And what can you do about it? The great wisdom that you can discover in yourself is that you can be that presence, that reality, that being, that loving force, that kind, compassionate, hand-holding being that can actually affect maybe 1 or 2 or 10 or 12 people.
Bruce, it just went off.
Such is life. What I'm trying to share with you is that life is so hard, that reality is so hard, but there is at the very center and core of reality this wise, ancient, maybe eternal knowing that is the gift of being. And if you are not moving through your life with that awareness, you are missing something. You are not experiencing what it is to be here. You are caught in the drama, the me, the I, all of the stuff that gets you caught in suffering and sadness and loss and grief and all of those issues that come from not having a sense of what being means. Being is your core nature. Being is the essence of all of this. And if you haven't found being in yourself, if you are lost in the being rather than being, you will experience a terrible wake-up at some point to the hard reality of life. And that wake-up is beneficial, but it ain't easy. Waking up is a process. Waking up is something that you give yourself to on a daily basis. You go deep inside in order to sense the way to live your life so that you can be a generous, loving,
kind human being. And that starts to show you a path to soft reality that then makes you very compassionate to hard reality. When hard reality comes, and trust me, it will come. It comes. If you have opened this doorway in yourself to this vastness of what is, you will be ready to say yes unendingly to the truth of that moment. You will be ready to say yes. Not that you'll be fearless. Not that you'll go, oh yes, come and burn up the building. It's not like that. It's like whatever fear and terror arises will be a completely natural biological expression. But there will be a being within that will go, you will be present. You will be present. You will watch all of the form, all of the manifested reality explode away from you, and yet the promise is that the being that has been watching from day one will still be watching, still be witnessing the reality of existence. I cannot absolutely guarantee you of that, because it may be part of our mythology, but I can tell you, living a life in concert with that inner knowing, that inner being, is a better way to get through the day than being lost in your own greed and suffering. So I encourage you to find what Rudy called the muscle system of digging deep, moving within, finding time for stillness, finding time for openness, finding time to be big-hearted, finding time to see in a large way what the world is that we're living in, to be able to be honest and true with what you find, and to live that life now, so that when hard reality decides to announce itself to you, it will be yet just another moment in the unbelievable unfolding of all the reality that you experience moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. You don't want to be oblivious to life. You don't want to live a delusional life. You don't want to live in your own sadness, regret, failure, drama of day-to-day life. And trust me, I know enough people. I see them and I see it and I feel it, and I want to give them what I'm giving you right now. Some people are receptive, some people are not, but all I want to tell them is sit still. I'll hold your hand, I'll look into your eyes, I will send all the love possible that I can muster, and that may help you to release yourself from your own knottedness, your own entrapment, and give yourself something worth living for. And what's worth living for is reality. Reality. That which is real. Soft, hard, it doesn't matter. Reality. Reality is your very inner being. It's the thing that you're here for. You've manifested in this world. If you are caught in these various dramas, get uncaught. Unweave the tapestry. Pull apart all the threads that don't design the person you feel you are or should be or want to be. Free yourself of all of the stuff other people pushed on you, created for you. Give yourself your own truth. Find this thing in you that is radiant beyond belief and knows who and what you are. Because it's there. It's there in everybody. It's not just there in some enlightened people. It's there in you. And the only thing that keeps you from going there is you don't want to go. You don't want to see it. And I can't exactly tell you why. Partly it's laziness. Partly it's the drama of having to sit every day no matter what. Who wants to do that? On the other hand, do it, and there's such an extraordinary gift at the end of that rainbow. It's worth it. It's just worth it. So, I encourage you, it's not going to get easier. Trust me. It doesn't get easier. Life does not get easier. It gets bigger, and you see it more clearly. And you either go yes, or you fight. Your choice. Any questions? Now on that happy note. Look, I always debate where to come at you from. What's the message of the day? This day felt hard to me, and it felt it had to be expressed in a more forthright way. There's so many ways to talk about reality. There's so many ways to talk about unfolding and expansion and transformation. But my whole goal in sitting here is to affect that change. Not to talk about it so you can feel good about hearing it, but to get you to do it. You can't talk about it. I heard a guy talking yesterday about, you can read all the books in the world about climbing Mount Everest. But until you climb Mount Everest, none of that means anything. It doesn't mean anything to hear about what it's like and how you can get through it and to know all the measurements and know all the paths and see all the movies. You have to climb it. You have to do the work. You have to do it. And the work is inward. It's sitting and going deep into your own inner core being and discovering that you have a core being. That you're not just this little peripheral thing moving around the world, trying to find ways to make yourself feel better, which is really pretty much all people do. How can I feel better? Well, I'll tell you how you feel better. Find this. Okay, one more chance for questions and then we're done.